Are you feeling lost in the digital wilderness? Welcome to Lost in Siberia. We are your guide to navigating the world of cyberspace.
So whether you're a tech enthusiast or you're looking to land your first job in InfoSec, we're here to break things down into bite-sized pieces so that you don't have to.
Welcome back to Lost in Siberia. On this pod this week, we discuss how to network with other people and keeping your resume up to date to celebrate your own achievements. We hope you enjoy this episode.
The reason why I am really big on work-life balance now is because of all the overtime I did when I was in hospitality.
Yes.
That I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore.
No.
I did that for a really long time and I got so burnt out. And then, it was a vicious cycle of needing to relieve the stress. So going out after work and partying and then going back to work the same day and being exhausted and then doing it all again. And then just you got to the point where your body shuts down. Yeah. And also obviously being a bit older now, I'm a lot more health conscious now, knowing and understanding where my body limits are. Yeah. And but also vocalizing that to whoever's in charge. I think at my last job, I was very honest about when I felt I was taking on too much. And I feel like you always work with someone else who is too scared to say that they're taking on too much, or they're complaining to you saying, oh, I had to do this work on the weekend. And I go, well, why did you say yes? Yeah. Because to me, I'd be like, I'm not doing that. Yeah. Unless you're paying me or something, where's the incentive? Yeah. Like, where's the incentive for me to do that overtime? Yeah. So unless that's time in lieu or you're paying me overtime, I'm not doing it because I'm happy with doing 40 hours a week, but I want to do more than that. No. And no one should have to unless there is, it's an emergency or something, like, something really big's happened. Like, I understand, obviously, there are situations where it might be it might be unavoidable.
A CrowdStrike,
Exactly. But
like in that case, like people
if it's something that's not going to result in people dying,
of course.
We're going for this big contract and we need you to write the proposal for it. And goes, okay, well, if I don't do that this weekend, is anyone going to die?
Yes,
probably
absolutely.
not.
I actually asking for deadlines and saying, when do you want me to complete it by? And I feel that maybe some people are hesitant.
Yeah.
And maybe it's my neurodivergence, but I'm like, I need to know when it's due. So, because otherwise, it's just going to be a pile of my Post-it notes. It's going to go on there.
Yeah.
And I like that someone kind of like, what would you like me to deprioritize? So I can prioritize that. But I can't even ask that if I don't have a deadline. Sometimes maybe other managers or people that assign you the work, they feel uncomfortable with like giving you a deadline.
Yeah. But I've always found in my experience, if you raise it as an issue coming up, your manager will be very grateful to you for saying, like, for example, there was definitely a situation where I had 3 pieces of work that I knew were meant to be done by that end of the week. And I went to my manager at the start of the week and I said, look, I just don't think I have the capacity to finish all of this in that time. And because I told him, he then was able to tell me, oh, this isn't a top priority. So if you don't get it done this week, we can push it to next week. That's fine. Or, okay, this is kind of a priority. I'll find someone else to work on that so you can focus on this. Yep. So, it's raising it before it's an issue too, because they're not going to be happy when you come to them at the end of the week and you go, oh, well, I finished 1 out of the 3. And then they go, hang on, like, we actually really needed that other piece of work done. And now our client's annoyed at us and we promised that it would be delivered.
Yes. But having that maturity of coming and saying, well, this is not me. Like, it's not like my mess up. It's not my mistake that these 3 things, won't be completed. It's actually that, I need help. Right? Yeah. And saying, I need to know like what the priorities are so I can, it's the mature thing to do. And again, it's a skill that is not necessarily, you're not going to learn the skill by coding. It's not connected there. It's actually a life skill. It's a skill that comes through other experiences and other lines of work as well. And you can also sell it in an interview, right? Having a dog is a really good boundary setter because I kind of say, well, I need to go and I need to walk my dog. And if a dog needs to get out of the house for a walk, so do I. And if the dog needs to be fed, so do I. And I like working from home because it gives me that flexibility. But then I need to leave by 5, right? So I'm not going to go and stay there because I need to get to her and, she needs to be taken care of. And so it's been a really good, starting of that boundary setting for me, and also understanding where my limits are, but also asking for help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people view asking for help as a vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's saying that, oh, I can't handle X amount of work. And it's like, well, you actually can't. You're only one person. It's actually okay to not be able to handle all of that. And I've worked with so many people and they'll say, oh, manager's given us so much work, like blah, blah, blah. Like I'm starting to feel burnt out. I'm like, why are you telling me? You should be talking to the manager. And, you know, but often having said that, that's assuming that your manager will be understanding as well.
But if you do say this to your manager and your manager isn't understanding, then the following question should be, why are you at that job?
Yeah. And also I should probably add that obviously I'm also happy for people to tell me that they're having issues.
Yeah,
I'm saying, like, why are you telling me your problems? Like, I don't want to listen to your problems. Yeah. No, obviously you should tell your workmates, because you're obviously telling them because you trust them.
Yes.
But also going, okay, cool, like it's great, you've told me, I think you should go have a conversation with them, because they're the one.
To practice with me how you would speak to me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to trial run. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's important to voice that out. And I think the first time I heard about it, it was like, I think it still was in hotels. And someone told me, well, if I need to stay further in my work and I need to do more work, it was because I had bad time management. And that hit me so hard. I have bad time management. And I was like, if they sacrifice a lot and if they don't set the right boundaries, if they're always there and they're always available, someone will come and give them a gold star, a big promotion and a big salary rise and stuff like that. It doesn't happen. It almost never happens. And you actually end up being told that you're bad at time management.
Oh, yeah, because you're just physically present.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're
just there. And instead of people giving you a gold star, like you're taking on someone else's work or something like that, people just tell you like, oh, well, you know, maybe you're just bad at time management, or I'm doing what I can do and I'm doing it well. You know, and communicating your needs and communicating when you need help. It's very important. And I know that like it's a bit different for women and men. And like we even talked about, you know, applying for jobs, and you said, if I have like 20% of the skill set, I will still apply. And we know that we have statistics that say that women have like 90% of it and they won't apply because they have that 10% missing, while men will apply.
I definitely don't look at work as, I think I've read those surveys as well too, and I've always thought, wonder why I'm not like that. Why am I not doing those, you know, what most women, like I always look at the one you were saying about not applying for a job because you don't think you're qualified. Don't get me wrong, there definitely have been times where I haven't applied for a job when I thought I haven't been qualified, but I think also I've always viewed work as just give it a go. Like, what have you got to lose? Like, you apply for that job, what's the worst thing that could happen? They don't contact you.
Yeah.
That is literally the worst thing that could happen. So I've always just gone, well, they might not contact me, but what if they did?
Yeah.
What if they do contact me? So I think I've always had a very optimistic view on work.
I think when I first met you, I said, I would like to have as much confidence as you do. And I think like I can learn that from you, right?
Yeah.
Because I meet a lot of mentors in tech and stuff like that. And I meet a lot of other women just in general in my other areas of work. And they are a bit more reserved. And you have a very realistic way of looking at things. It's not like, you don't look at it like, why not? Why wouldn't you? Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I can tell you that people don't think, like the people I've met don't think that way. They're like, no, but like...
What are the consequences?
I don't know. They're like, but that's not how it works. It's that risk taking, right?
And I think that it's the same, like, even when you look at cybersecurity as a whole, right? And when you're talking about risk assessments, how much risk are you willing to accept? And that's the same in life.
Your risk tolerance is
high. Yeah, tolerance is very high in my day-to-day life. And I think I would say that comes down to, like, it does come down a lot to your upbringing. And I think, like, for me, I've always been brought up by a single father. And my dad has always told me to just go after whatever I want. And I think that has obviously set me up for success, I guess. It's
just go and try something. I think boys are being like, you know, I'm very generalizing here. I'm not saying every boy and every girl and however they identify themselves.
Yeah.
Boys are generally being raised as boys will be boys. They can run around, they can climb trees. And girls are being more like, sit like a lady.
You got to be demure.
Yeah, very cutesy, yes. Very mindful.
But now brats are things.
Changing.
So
yeah,
thanks, Charlie. Thanks.
Very much so. And it's changing with the new generation as well. But we still have a lot of women and, that think that way. Kind of like that, the Gen X more, I think millennials are probably very different, but that kind of, we can look at that and go, well, that's different from how I was brought up. Like, that's very not ladylike behavior to just go and apply for a job that you are not qualified for. Like a lady doesn't do.
Why would you just apply for a job that you're not qualified for? Who do you think you are?
And it's like, yeah, man, right? Yeah, but it's very interesting, and I just like something I think about a lot. But
no, I agree. I think now we're going real deep, but like from a psychological perspective, I've thought about this a lot. I'm like, if I have been brought up in a very different, like say if I had a much more influence from my mom, or if my dad had a very different personality, or especially if maybe he was very much more old school in thinking of like, oh no, you're a woman, like, this is your role in society or whatever. If I'd been raised in a very different way, I think I would have been a very different person. I don't think I would have been how I turned out. I think also it's funny when you're talking about that I have this confidence, and it was funny because when you said that to me originally, like the first time we met, no one's ever said that to me before, and I actually thought about it and I was like, oh, I am confident, aren't I?
I'm just very honest. I'm just like,
no, but like I had never actually thought about the fact that I'm confident, and then I spoke to two friends and I said, oh, I just started mentoring this girl, and she told me that I'm really confident, and they looked at me and they're like, yeah, what do you mean? Like, are you insane? They're like, you're way more confident than we are.
Yes.
You've always been very, I guess like I've always been very outgoing. I've always just gone after what I wanted to do. And like whether that's in work or friendships, like when I was at uni, I remember I used to walk up to people like randomly in, say like the big lecture halls where you fit like 300 students. I'm still friends with a girl that I walked up to one day in a lecture hall and I said, hey, I'm Annie-Mei, what's your name? Yeah. And we became friends. We met just because I saw her sitting by herself. Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't know anyone here. So I just walked up to her and we started chatting, and then we started hanging out outside of class. And then, next thing we're inviting each other to whatever, like, birthdays, blah, blah, blah. We're still friends today. Yeah. And I remember other friends even telling other people, like, oh, how did you guys meet? And they were like, Annie-Mei just randomly came up to me and said hello.
Yeah. And I can do that too sometimes. I feel like if I'm in the right mood, I can definitely go and do it. But if I'm more like, if I'm burnt out, I'm like, oh no, I just want to stay at home and I want to talk to anyone.
Totally. Yeah. And I go through phases like that too, especially the older I get. Like I can't be like that all the time.
It's a lot of effort. And it does require some energy to introduce yourself and go there and invest in that first interaction, connect them together, and because I love people and love getting to know them, and it's so much fun. And I was brought up with like a very domineering father, very kind of gender roles and stuff like that. But my mom was always like, you are the best person in the world, and I'm so happy that I gave birth to you, and you are so smart, and you're amazing, and you can do anything you want. Yeah. And so I think like part of me is like, yes, absolutely go after things because your mom thinks you're awesome, so you are. Yeah. But you don't know something, that one thing in here. So maybe you shouldn't go after this. And
you got this like thought in the back of your head kind of thing.
Well, I used to have it anyway. And now it's like, and the people you surround yourself with are so important, because your upbringing is not going to just like, that's it.
Determine your life.
Yes.
Outcome.
And then like when you surround yourself, like for instance, like with people like you that are confident, they go after they want, and you see how they do that. And that's why I started doing like Toastmasters, and I started doing like improv and stuff like that.
Yeah, you do a lot of public speaking.
Yes.
Yeah, which is great practice.
It's that practice that will actually say, well, I didn't die that time when I went and I spoke to that person at a networking event. Yeah. And the second time it also didn't happen. And nobody, blocked me on LinkedIn. And
also improv is like, I don't even know if I could do, I'd be so scared to do improv. Like that's really impressive because improv to me sounds so scary. Like you can tell me to go to any networking event and I would not be scared to walk into a room of 50 people I don't know. No. But if you told me to go on a stage and go, oh, well, we're going to act out this scene, but we're not going to tell you in advance what is going to happen, I'd be like, no thanks.
I think that's what takes away the fear for me. So it's like, but everyone kind of knows it's improv as well. Oh, it doesn't matter if they don't. But like, I can't control it. Yeah. The control's gone. I can't do anything to control it.
But I think that's also a good takeaway is you need to find what you're comfortable and not comfortable with. For sure. And like, where are your boundaries? But also and for me, I've always been a person that hates being too comfortable. I love being out of my comfort zone. But I know what I do like and I don't like. Like, for example, I don't like going on scary rides at theme parks.
Yeah.
That terrifies me. But if you said, oh, go up to a random group of people and just introduce yourself, I'd be like, oh, okay, no worries. I think also for me, the confidence I feel that I've built, which I've really harnessed, is from traveling a lot. Traveling alone too. Because in my early 20s, I did so much solo travel. I backpacked around Southeast Asia by myself. I did meet up with friends here and there, but a lot of it was by myself. I've met so many people just staying at hostels. Like saying I backpacked around Europe as well. The US I've done as well solo. And I would say US is probably a bit, because also I'm a bit older now, so I'm not staying in hostels. But yeah, I feel like when you're not staying in hostels, it takes that way to meet people, because it's so hard not to meet people in hostels because you're literally staying in the same room with other people that you don't know. But when you're traveling alone and you go, okay, how am I going to meet people? But if you just put yourself out there, and I know it's scary, a lot of people would find that terrifying. And it's taking baby steps. It's not just going, say if you're 30 years old, you've never gone overseas and you're going, I'm going to do an overseas trip by myself solo. I mean, if you want to do that, that's amazing. But I know a lot of people that would be a big leap, right? Like you've never been overseas, you've never gone traveling by yourself. You know, what are some baby steps that you can take? And it's the same in like cybersecurity. Like, okay, if you want to go network, and I've said this to one of the women that I've mentored, who she's neurodivergent. The idea of going to an event where she didn't know anyone was scary for her. And I said, okay, let's think about what you could do before the event, you know, to kind of make yourself more comfortable. Like, is there any way to know who's attending the event? Could you contact someone on LinkedIn and have a chat to them beforehand? And then when you get to the event, you can look for them, and then you've already got a person that you could go up to and chat to. Or go to the event and just talk to one person. Like, don't try and talk to everybody, because you're never going to be able to talk to everybody anyway. But just find one person and have a 5-minute conversation. It doesn't have to be about cybersecurity. It doesn't have to be about tech. It can just be about the weather.
How did you find parking here?
Exactly. Just make small chat and start somewhere, because if you just do something small, and I think it's the same with like moving into cybersecurity, right? And there's so many different areas you can study. Just focus on one thing today. Okay? I'm going to learn what a router is. And
learn what a router is.
And tomorrow I'm going to Google like, what is MFA? I'm going to watch a YouTube video on what is MFA. How can I put MFA onto my email account? Or banking. So I think it's just breaking it down into smaller steps, like
manageable.
Moving, like if you're looking at the final stage, of course it's going to look really scary. And I think it's also just looking at how far you've come on your journey as well. Like for both of us, we've obviously got so much further that we want to, like so much more we want to achieve, but it's also taking a step back and thinking, oh, how far have I come? In 2021, so we're in 2024 now. So it was 3 years ago, I got my grad role at Accenture. And it's crazy to think that since then, what I've managed to achieve in that space of time, because I'm often like, oh, there's so much I want to become a manager and I want to do this and, you know, I want to be an exec and I want to be a CEO, like I want to start my own business and like, you know, I want to achieve all these goals. But like, okay, today, just calm down. Like you can't do all that by next week.
No.
And it takes time to develop skills and it takes time to work towards goals. But it's often just really nice to look back and go, oh my God, look at all these things I've done.
I used to hate updating my resume, but now I kind of like it because doing it frequently as well. It's like, oh my God, like, I've done so much and I can add this and I can add that. And I always feel like I'm not moving fast enough as well. And it's like, come on, do more. And it's like,
you can stay up till 3 a.m. Just keep studying.
Just keep studying. You can do and then we go back to the whole, you know, life balance things. But it's really good to take stock of what you've already done. And I think like doing this as well has been really helpful. It's like, oh my God, like I've done some living. And that's like, I'm very happy with that, you know, because I want to do living. Like I actually want to enjoy what I do and I want to continue learning and having some challenges. Stepping outside of my comfort zone because that creates the best stories. And I want my life to be a good story that I would like
Exactly.
to listen to, right?
Yeah. Life is short, right? You want to live it to the fullest. So I don't want my whole life to be my job or my career. I want to travel and I want to do all these things and I want to meet amazing people and I want to have a life that's fulfilling.
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to go back to the point where you had the advice for the neurodivergent woman. And it's something that I also learned from improv or Toastmasters recently. They're being honest. So I think actually coming to someone and saying, I am new here, I don't know anyone, and I am so bad at this.
And just being honest.
Just being honest. And you would be surprised by how many people reciprocate. And like, yeah, me too. Like, honestly, I hate this. Let's just stick together. And you meet friends for life this way.
Yeah.
Because I know it's very scary being vulnerable, but you are just saying the truth. I am new here. And when you do that, you have to say one sentence, right? I'm new here. Is it okay if I speak to you and all that? And especially when you talk to people that have been doing it for some time, they want to help. Everyone, and that's been the best thing I've learned in my journey in cyber, is how many people are actually willing to help you. And like they are willing to give you advice, they're willing to give you like things that you can learn, links, they connect you with other people. They're like, come with me here. They actually take you on board with them because you came out, you were vulnerable, and they enjoy that. They enjoy helping you. And so it's a win-win because everyone wins in that situation. I know it's probably scarier to do than talk about the weather, but in my head, for some reason, that sounded like less scary.
Yeah, but I agree. I think showing vulnerability is a good way to engage with people because everyone has insecurities to some degree. Some people obviously more than others. Everyone is going to be in a situation at some point in their life where they feel uncomfortable. But it's how you deal with the situation. You have two options, right? So you walk into a room and you don't know a single person there. You either go up to someone and find someone to have a conversation with, or you go hide in the corner.
Yeah.
But you go, okay, I've gone out of my way to come here. I had a reason for coming here, otherwise I wouldn't be here. So what am I going to do? Like, how do I deal with this situation? I was actually at an event the other day and this girl, I think I don't know, maybe if I just look approachable or something, because people often come up to me when they're in a room where they don't know anybody.
You look very kind of joyful.
Oh, okay.
You look very joyful, like you having fun. You're always surrounded by people that are also very joyful. I'm just saying, like, as an observer.
Yeah. I mean, that's good to know. I'm glad I don't look like a miserable person.
No, you look like you're having the best time.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, we know that as well from studies that people are more comfortable approaching women for questions and directions and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's less chance that they will be like, why are you asking me? And I don't think like anyone would see you as someone that would like not help.
Turn them away.
And, like, or just like be mad at them or something. I think you look approachable,
Yeah, but this girl came up to me and I was actually equally as shocked because she told me she was in year 10 at school. And I was going, hang on, this was essentially a conference, right? It was like a Splunk event.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going, where are your parents? How would you even have known this was happening? So she comes up to me and she goes, hey, my name's so-and-so. My dad's just gone to drop my sister at the hotel and I'm just waiting for him to come back. And he told me to just go up and talk to someone. And I'm going, wow. Because I was thinking back to when I was in year 10, I'm going, I don't think I would have been way too scared, especially in a room of adults, to go up and talk to someone and about a topic that she clearly knew nothing about because she said, I'm still trying to work out, what is this Splunk thing? And I'm going, and I was like, dude, like props to you. I would have been so scared to go up to some random adults and be like, I do not know what this product is and I'm only here because my dad, I assume it was some kind of school holiday activity. I don't know. So if that girl can do it and she's in year 10 at school, I think most adults can take a lesson from that and go, you can go up to someone that you don't know. In fact, make it a habit. Once a week, go and talk to someone that you don't know. Make it a thing to go and talk. I don't mean like going and talk to your barista. That doesn't count because they're serving you. They have to talk to you. But, they're not someone who's not being paid to talk to you, whether that's at the park, a networking event or at a conference or whatever it is. Maybe you've just joined a sports team or something, or like some kind of community activity where you need to go and meet people that you don't even know who's going to be there.
If you're doing some studies or something like that,
Contact someone in your class and be like, hey, do you want to have a coffee?
Or even if you're doing it online or something like that, just drop them a Teams message, you know.
Yeah. And like you said, like most people aren't assholes.
No.
Like most people are actually
Surprising.
genuinely, like you'll be surprised. Most people actually are quite nice and willing to help.
Yeah.
And if you say, hey, can I join your group? Like, you know, join this conversation. Most people aren't going to be like, no, please go away. There might be an unusual situation where they might be in the middle of talking about something very confidential, or maybe something really bad's just happened to them, like their partner's died or something. Then I can understand why it might be a bit uncomfortable to join the conversation.
But they probably will look like that as well. And you
will know not to approach. Yeah, exactly. Like read the signal.
Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway from that. And I think you should like maybe even like journal about it, or like make a note of it. It doesn't have to be a whole journal, like big thing. You know, just make a note of it that day I did this and this. I met most of my neighbors this way because when I moved here, and I have Spotty Girl, which is a very good conversation starter.
Oh, I feel like having a dog is definitely a very, like when I lived in my old apartment building, everyone who had a dog knew everyone else in the building because they'd all be hanging out in the same park. Whereas me being a cat owner, I was like, how do you know all the people in our building? And I'd be like, yeah, it's because obviously most people don't walk their cat.
No.
There are exceptions, but I mean, I don't walk my cats because they're both indoor cats and they're terrified of everything. That might be actually a good point to cut it as well. But
yes, and speak to someone who isn't paid.
Speak to someone who isn't paid to talk to you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Lost in Siberia.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.